As many of you know, I do not host the meeting. I turn that over to our Chairman Pro Tem, which is JB, and he will lead tonight's meeting. I will be filling in, though, for Tracy Partridge on the library, so I will not do it justice. I will try.
You won't be near as energetic.
But I will try. So with that, thank you for being here. It's your meeting, JB.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Approval, if you have a chance to read over the agenda for today, and a motion to approve it.
Second.
And a motion second to approve it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes for October 7th. Everyone has a chance to read those over. Any changes? Additions, deletions? Motion approved. Thank you.
Second.
Second. Thank you. There's been a motion to approve and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Are there any off-agenda items anyone would like to bring in from the board? Thank you. Hearing none, we'll move on. Updates and reports. We will start with the fire department. Since we know you want to go see the football game tonight, so.
No, I'm okay.
You all right? Okay.
I'm on duty, so I'm fine. Hey, Dan, I probably shouldn't talk too much about it, but I don't watch sports too often, so.
Okay.
But anyway, but thank you. I do catch a game here and there, parts of it, so I'm not too much of a prude. I do enjoy sports. Well, my name is Lieutenant Ignacio Yolo with the Wichita Fire Department. Today I'm assigned to station number 21, so I'm here to provide a little bit of information to the district. What I'll do after this, of course, like I talked earlier, I'll go ahead and give you the information, so that if you haven't, it's because I'm going to go for quite a few numbers. As far as for the district, I'll start with the major one. There was a fire here in the district. It was about a $60,000 loss between structure and the contents of the home. What it come down to was that there was an electric smoker left on, and it caught the deck on fire, which then proceeded to spread to the house. So I'll talk about a little bit of fire safety once I go over the numbers. Overall, the fire alarms, it was a total of 9, service alarms of 36, medical alarms 232. So for total incidents for the district, there was 277. So pretty busy, moving, getting out there, making contact with citizens, helping them out, doing everything that we can as part of our service. Overall, though, I mean, in the city, when you start putting all the numbers together, from accidental fires, incendiary, meaning that somebody lit it, undetermined, this is the fire investigation unit, that's their undetermined fires, some that are still currently under investigation. Totally, we just had one in our district here, District 5, total city was about 15. And then we start looking at the overall loss of dollars, we start looking at it, where we're doing and trying to deter through fire prevention and some of the other things. The community risk reduction is our program. Is you had a total of $361,500 to structural damage, from homes to things of it's a structural building. Contents, you're looking at $86,500. So total within all of it is $448,000. Almost $500,000 loss. So this is where it's important. That's just the contents of people's homes, people's businesses, structures. But of course, you cannot put a price on life. Okay. So that rolls me into my next part of the presentation is that we're getting into it's getting a little cooler. So you're starting to smell the nice little the fireplaces are kicking up. We're smelling the different woods out there. Some people are out by their chimeneas to keep them warm and doing a variety of different things, to enjoy the cool weather as well. The one thing I will say is always be safe. Have your contracted, licensed, insured individual that's going to come out and check your fireplace, your chimneys to make sure it's inspected, because a lot of times this is the time you're going to see the fire department running a lot, and we're going to chimney fires. A lot of it just haven't been cleaned, haven't been looked at, inspected in years. So it's very safe. Make sure it's a licensed contractor that's doing that. The other thing too is also your heating, ventilation, air conditioning system. Again, we're starting to turn it on. If you haven't already, I'm sure people have. Those that get cold easily, we can turn them on so you start to smell. It smells a little funny. It's the dust that's being burned off. But at the same time, if it hasn't been inspected by a licensed professional, please, put that out in the district, let your neighbors know. Because as you can see, it does cost money, it costs time, but also for the safety of people as well. So the other thing too is that it's November, big cooking holiday coming up for Thanksgiving at the end of the month. It seems like wow, it's here already. I know everywhere else you already see Christmas items everywhere, so it's like we're trying to just get through Halloween now into Thanksgiving and then Christmas. But the thing is that when you start cooking, unattended cooking is the biggest thing for fires. So let's set timers. Sometimes we get distracted. The game may be on. We're trying to do other things. We're trying to interact with our families. So please, be careful with that. Fire safety check. Also, the big program yesterday, as you saw on the Wichita Fire Department's Facebook. Time change. Check if you didn't get a chance to change out your smoke alarm, the batteries, or anything. Please take full advantage of it. They do save lives. Practice your escape plan, as you saw throughout Fire Prevention Week with their community risk reduction. They're out there, not just at the zoo, but they're with the kids. We're trying to get them early. So, but also practice with them in your own homes. If you're a grandparent like myself, practice with your grandkids when they come over. What are you going to do? The meeting place, You can go to Sparky.org and places like that with the kids, and there's a lot of great information out there to work with fire safety for them. We got to start training them early, educate them. That way they can react safely and efficiently as well. So the biggest things to take away is again, fire safety. Also, we're going to get into that ice weather. It's coming. It's Kansas, so take your time, plan ahead, look at the weather, keep up with it, so that in the morning when you wake up, you're not rushing everywhere, and you're not having to see myself or PD out there. If it's not an emergency reporting plan. Because we will show up to help you, but it just takes a little bit to slow down and be safe. So smoke alarms, fire safety, cooking in the home, and then of course out there with your heating elements and overloading your plugs as well, because it's very easy to do, even in businesses as well. Everybody, we know that there's people that get cold and they bring their little space heaters and they leave it in there and it overloads the plugs, and that's why people's cubicles are shutting down. You can overload things very fast. So be careful out there as well when you're at work. Any questions for me? No? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll hand these over to Corey so he'll have some minutes. Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
There you go, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Next we have the Police Department. Did you take a vote on who's going to come up?
I asked him, he never asked me. I'm Officer Hott, representing Patrol West. I do have a new captain, Steve, this year, so he'll speak after I. First of all, a few statistics. Again, we're looking at 16B, 19B, 199B. We're looking at major crimes, homicide, rape, robbery, assault, burglary, larceny, and all. So just to run down year to date, on MyBeat 16B, we're down 15%, total FAR 1 from last year. FAR 1 crimes, 15% down. 19B, we're down 3%, and 199B, we're down 29%. If you add the three beats together, we're up 6% on total violent crimes. Again, they're small numbers. We're talking about 112 versus 106. So not a lot of numbers. This is year to date. But we're up 6%. And total property crime, we're down 17%. Total 15% down for the third. So that's good for the three beats. Things that are going on West Bureau. Received a complaint not too long ago. We've been dealing with this for a while from Wilbur Middle School with the construction that went on when they put in the stoplight. And part of that was coming out of that exit, that roundabout on Tyler. They really didn't want a left-hand turn there because there's a lot of congestion, boarding, drop off, and have to pick up. So we're working with the city right now and USDT 59 to get signs that we can actually enforce in place. No left-hand turn during stated hours. So hopefully that's coming soon, and that'll help some of the congestion there on Tyler. A couple days ago, we had Halloween, of course. We had several trunk or treat events throughout Patrol West, and I can't report any issues. Everything went smooth. Over the last few months, Westlink and Country Acres Neighborhood Associations had cleanups in their neighborhoods, and again, no known issues. Personnel news, Officer Dowdy is now Detective Dowdy. She was promoted. So I've taken over 199B as well as 16B. We're not going to backfill that right now. I have my new captain here, he'll speak. And a new sergeant for community police has been identified, and she'll be on board at the first of the year when Sergeant Marbury retires. Any questions? That's all I have.
Did you say Sergeant?
Marbury? Yes.
Okay.
January 2.
Thank you.
Good.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll keep this short. I didn't prepare a speech at all. I just came here, so I'm removing who I am, basically. Like you said, Captain Wanda Gibbons was promoted to Deputy Chief last month, and I, at the same time, was promoted from Lieutenant to Captain. And I'm very happy, actually, to be in this this bureau. I live a mile from here, so it's familiar territory, and a lot of good things, a lot of good officers, and a lot of good people out here. So a little bit about myself, just so you know, I came from investigations. I was the domestic violence sex crimes detective for 5 years. I worked in the gang felony assault unit up there, and the vice unit as a detective, but I've worked in all 4 of the patrol bureaus in various positions as an officer or a supervisor. So I brought some business cards. I'll leave them on the table back there. If any of you guys, I probably didn't bring near as many as I should have, but again, he didn't say my name is Jason Stevens. Probably should have started with that. But anyway, like I said, I'm your new captain. I'm really happy to be out here. And I'll be making some more of these here in the future. I've got 3 DAB boards on my bureau, so I'll kind of rotate. Oh, so any questions before I step away?
No?
Glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. Welcome.
So if you haven't seen the story, Channel 12 recently did a profile on Chief Ramsey's diversity in the deputy chiefs. When Captain Gibbons was promoted to deputy chief, he now has 2 female deputy chiefs, 1 black, 1 white, and then Hispanic deputy chiefs. So the diversity in our commands is pretty outstanding. And it's all because of his direction and what he's been trying to institute. But go online, check it out, Channel 12. It's a pretty good story. So
Good.
but we lost Captain Gibbons to the administrative ranks, and that's who Jason took. So
Good.
it's a pretty good story.
Good. Next is Parks and Recreation. Dave?
So yes, David McGuire with Park and Recreation. I'd like to be here tonight. So one thing, we recently had some good hard freezes. I think we get to stop mowing. So mowing season I've been talking about all summer long, I think it's finally about over with. We might have to do a little bit of trash pickup along the way still, but I think we get to stop mowing. And that family camp out that I've been knowing you guys have been planning for, you only have 3 days left to get signed up. So you better get signed up and go camping down at Watson Park there.
And what's the date?
This coming Saturday.
This is coming Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. You can hang out Saturday till Sunday morning. The $15 includes dinner that night, s'mores, and breakfast in the morning. So camping under the stars. Might need a little bit of a heater, you know, for your tent. So, but it'll be funny. You get a train ride. Check out the train down there at Watson Park. I was telling you guys about doing the trick or treating from the pedal boats. It sold out. We had filled every spot. So next year, we'll probably double that up, and the kids had a lot of fun doing that. The characters were fun, handing out the candy to the kids in the pedal boats and stuff. Parents had to be along, so it was a good combination thing there. Coming up here December 9th, you can go down to Botanica, exercise, and then enjoy the park once you're down there. So we're going to have a Zumba and a pound event December 9th down at Botanica. That's a Saturday, I believe. Of course, down at Watson Park, we do a lot of things in Watson these days. The Christmas Express is going to be every night from November 23rd to December 28th. So if you want to go down, and we can't call it Polar Express. It has to be. Yeah. So ours is called Christmas Express. So go down and check that out. And of course, we're going to have our Night of Santa December 5th down at Syncro 2. And I think the tree lighting, the mayor's tree lighting, is going to be the last Sunday in November. So that should be probably about November 30th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
28th is Thanksgiving. 20th is Thanksgiving.
December 1st. So,
Yeah, I had it on my calendar at one time, but I didn't see it.
so the mayor's tree lighting will be right in there, and they're connecting that with another event called Light the Night, and they go over lights and stuff and float down the river, and Park River Coalition is sponsoring an event that night that's pretty fun to go to and stuff. So a lot of Christmas stuff coming up, and during Christmas break, we'll definitely have kids camp. So if you need some place to send your child during the Christmas break to have some fun, the rec centers will be open for all those kinds of activities, and our classes are ongoing, of course. Any questions? All right.
The Zumba, you said it was.
Zumba and that pound
Yeah.
exercise, drumming.
The date, December 7th, is a Monday. So is that correct?
December 9th.
December 9th is a Monday. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, then it's the 7th. Okay. So whatever that Saturday is, right?
The 7th, okay.
I probably wrote it down wrong. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Tracy/Brian with the public library.
All right, so I'm gonna sit here. Got their day. All right, so first thing is all the library locations are going to be closed Monday, Veterans Day holiday on the 11th. They will also close at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 27th, and then be closed all day Thursday and all day Friday, the 28th and 29th for Thanksgiving. So that's all locations. Big Read continues through November 15th. And don't forget the book is Lab Girl by Hope Jaren. You can learn more at bigreadwichita.org. November is Kansas Reads to Preschoolers Month. This is a statewide initiative with the goal of creating young readers and promoting library usage. This year, thousands of preschoolers in Wichita will read I Like Myself by Trevor Kurth. No, by Karen Beaumont. So that information is also available on wichitalibrary.org. On November 7th, Wesleyan Branch is hosting a family science fair from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. with a lot of hands-on science experiments. If you have a child who wants to show off a science project, call the branch to sign up. That's November 7th. On November 8th, there will be a Learn About Medicare online. This is a hands-on workshop on how to use the Medicare website, and that takes place at the Advanced Learning Library, or I like to call it All ICT. And that's Friday, November 8th at 10:30 a.m. And then there's an exclusive concert for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten participants. The Sugar Free All-Stars will play 2 free concerts in Wichita on Saturday, November 9th at 10:30 at the Advanced Learning Library and at 2:30 at Evergreen. So I've never heard of the Sugar Free All-Stars. Has anyone? It must be something cool for kindergarten and preschoolers. So a lot of activity. I'll give this to Corey so you can have it, but I know I didn't do it justice, Tracy. Forgive me.
He's all right. And Brian, Public Works and Utilities.
I'm Julianne Collins, Public Works Engineering Division, and Dr. The street maintenance, the OP3, we've got some microsurfacing projects coming up, a lot of prep work's been done, and microsurfacing will happen in spring. It goes for the Central and Shepherd, and on Tyler, the asphalt overlay will happen in spring too. Gary will be here next month to talk about the streets in the 2020 maintenance program. The Cooper Bike Path from 21st to 29th, Zoo to 29th. Funding for that is on City Council tomorrow morning. We will be starting with the traffic signal itself at the 21st and Zoo intersection there, where it crosses railroad tracks. 13th Street from Azure to 135th. We've got that slated to start next spring. Well, there is one tract we're still trying to acquire, so that's in the works. That's the last thing we'll need that to start up. And 29th and Mays intersection, that'll be starting next year also, but that will just be the north leg and the east leg. And that's the whole project, it's just those two legs. 37th Street, lighting from Mays to Ridge. We've got Evergy will be installing those street lights next spring along that mile stretch. That's the updates I have for you. Do you have any questions for me?
When does Hoover and 21st start?
It would be a spring. It would be next year.
Next year.
Yeah, spring of 2020.
So one of the challenges I learned from Gary today is streetlights are a very hot commodity. In fact, there's only one supplier in the country right now. So if you want to get into a business model, it might be supplying streetlights. So what had normally been a 12 to 15 week window is now 6 months. So we're ordering them now, so that way we can hopefully get them by next spring. Same with 37th and Tyler. So we're going to put streetlights there by May South campus. We had hoped to do that before spring break, but now with the delay, it's probably going to be until after the school year's over. So summer, but it's crazy that there's only one supplier of the poles for streetlights. They only build them as they order them. There's not a supply because the price of steel fluctuates so much. So yeah, there's just one right now. There's another company that's trying to get started again, but it's a very capital intensive project. So one other thing while we're on Public Works, if you haven't seen the street sign under construction at 29th and Mays, you're heading north going towards the intersection. There's a big 4x4 sign that says road improvements, right turn lane coming in 2020. And so that's what she's talking about. That right turn lane will be a dedicated new lane to right turns from northbound Mays to eastbound 29. And then there will be the left turn going west to south will get dropped back, so it'll be a longer queue. That's all we're doing to that intersection, but we think that's going to solve most of the problems there. So we put that sign up to hopefully, while people are waiting at that light, they'll be able to see that there is some progress going to be made. But that's just something good to try to communicate, like we've done with our other street road improvements coming soon. But hopefully it's noticed. We made it as big as we could at that 4x4. But there'll be some of them.
Good. Any other questions for Julianne?
Do you know statistics-wise the right turn lane on 20? How far back will it stretch?
So there is a drive that's been put in
The one by
by the Hobby Lobby. It will not go all the way back to there. I don't remember exactly how far back it goes, but it won't get into that term. So, I don't remember, do you remember it? Okay.
Is that something that you could email the drawings for?
Yeah, we can look for it. We should have it.
Okay, Julianne, thanks. Any questions? Do we have a motion to receive and file staff reports?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have Dave Bureau, MAPD.
Meeting, Dave here out with the planning department. We've got 2 zoning cases on your agenda tonight, because of schedules. Both have been heard by the planning commission, but they are still in their protest period. The MAPC took action on both cases on the 24th of October. The 14-day protest window runs through this Thursday. So, the first one is conditional use 2019-36. It's the request to allow, or if you will, legalize the car rental operation that's at 610 North Beach Road. That operation had been there, I think, for about 3 or 4 years. But we had a case right north of that on Central that kind of raised issues that, or questions were presented to code enforcement, resulted in the owner of that business getting a massive amber saying, oops, this is illegal based on the zoning code. So they did apply, we went through the process, and the planning commission recommended unanimously that you approved. And as I said, we're in the protest period right now. I received only 2 or 3 calls from neighbors beforehand. The primary concern was about the traffic issue that Central makes. It's got nothing to do with you. We told them that, and it warped into, well, when are we going to make improvements? We gave them to Julianne. Well, of course, said you talked to those folks. So, you got outlined in your agenda there the recommended actions that were attached to the conditional use. And if the matter goes through with that protest, we'll write a resolution to close that case. The second case is a amendment to the community unit plan covering property at 37th and Tyler, in the Tyler Landing commercial classic community unit plan. That request was primarily, Kirk was the agent, he's here. If you have any questions, that was primarily a request to amend the language to allow additional duplex development on some parcels that had previously been identified for other uses. But the duplexes were not addressed in the CP, so it took an amendment process to do that. Again, that case also was approved unanimously by the planning commission. Had no calls from anybody on that. Kathy Walker was one hand in that case. We didn't hear anything. I don't know if you want to say anything at all. It's not out of character of what's happening in the area already. So there were no objections, and no one spoke on either one of these cases at the planning commission public hearing. They're both in the protest period right now. If they finish up that right with no objections, we will close the cases and move on. If they don't, then they get scheduled to go to sleep. We won't know that until Friday. So, any questions?
Any questions for Dave?
On the second case, couple questions. On the second case, is it the same developer who's doing the duplexes for all of those other duplexes that are in that area? No. Okay. And for the parcel that's on Tyler, it's similarly close to the entrance to the Mays schools that are right there. Is there any concern with congestion in that turning lane, turning into, because northbound traffic will be trying to turn left into the school, southbound traffic will be trying to turn left into the duplexes. Is there any concern about that one turning lane?
These normally don't get discussed that much on zoning issues.
Okay.
Planning issues or modifications to roads that those kind of things come into play. And I don't think we're bringing modifications to the plan in this case. So,
Okay.
out in that area, there's some other planning activity occurring that heavily contest citizens. So, those are issues that will have to be addressed going forward. Historically, those were addressed at the time plans are considered, because that's when right of way is dedicated and public works is intimately involved as much as they can to identify potential threats.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions today? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve?
We'll take them separately.
Okay, let's do the first one. The 2019 00036. Do that one first.
Motion to approve based on staff comments.
Second.
Motion and second to approve it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second one, 2019 00033. Is there a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve based on staff comments.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Dave, thank you.
I see some of you already have. Don't forget to vote.
Get to vote. Vote often. Early and often.
Chicago way.
Yep, that's right. Next we have Sally Stang, Director of Housing Services.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here today. I do have a presentation. Do you have one of these specific clickers?
So we actually don't have a clicker
Okay.
for
I
this.
got you.
There's your clicker right there.
That's
That's good. That's good. That's clicker you got.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am the new Housing Community Services Director. I've been on the job about 4 months. Getting my feet wet for sure. We've got a lot of great programs, and today I'm here to talk to you about the second program year of our consolidated plan. So last year we came around, well, the department came around, that was pre-me, but talking about HUD's requirement for us to develop a 5-year consolidated plan and how we're going to use allocations of funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So the city of Wichita is what they call an entitlement community. We have more than 50,000 people who live in the city. Therefore, we're automatically eligible for community development block grants, home investment partnership program funds, and the emergency solutions grant. But part of administering those grants is we have a citizen participation plan, and we seek public input on how to spend those funds throughout the community. So they're used to create strong, sustainable, inclusive communities. They fund programs that align with the city's goals. So the Community Development Block Grant, this is our most flexible form of funding. There's actually 101 eligible uses for Community Development Block Grant. It's primarily used to fund programs and infrastructure, construction projects, in low to moderate income neighborhoods. So in neighborhoods where more than 51% of the people who live in the census tract have below poverty rate. The Home Investment Partnership Program is all about creating affordable housing units, whether that's building of or low-income rental housing, or low-income home ownership programs, or even funding tenant-based rent assistance. And the Emergency Solutions Grant used to be called the Emergency Shelter Grant, but in 2013 it was changed to the Emergency Solutions Grant as it was recognized that there were more services necessary than just providing shelter to move people out of homelessness. So then you can see we received about $2.8 million in community development block grant, 1.387 in home funds, and 238,000 in emergency solutions grants. So as I said, last year we came around, it was creating a new 5-year plan. At that same time, we had to create the 1-year action plan, which was to come back and say, in this first year, what are we going to do? Now we're here for the second year program action plan. Where I said, what are we planning to do in the second year? So our timeline, it sounds strange, right? It seems like we're always here, we're always talking about some component related to these programs. And it's true. We're either planning, contracting, reporting, monitoring, and spending some point in the cycle. So the program funds generally come to us effective for July 1st. HUD had a delay in issuing funds this year. We are just finalizing the contracts for this program year, and we're already talking about what are we going to do next year. And we're starting this conversation 7 months ahead of time. So starting now through February, we'll be gathering public input to develop that action plan. In December, we're going to appoint the grant review committee. So the committee who's going to review proposals that are submitted as part of a request for proposals that we put on the street, where we're seeking programs run by nonprofit organizations that can help fulfill the goals of our plan. And in February 2020, the grant review committee reviews the proposals and makes funding recommendations so that we can develop a preliminary spending plan to be approved by the council. March 2020, the council will authorize opening up an additional public comment, 30-day comment period. And in May, the council finally approves it. May 15th, it's due to HUD to go into effect July 1st, hopefully. That's if that comes through with the funding on time. So CDBG eligible activities have to meet a national objective. They have to benefit low to moderate income persons, prevent slum or blight, or address urgent community needs. And when they're talking about urgent community needs, they mean natural disaster or outrage. Okay? I've never worked for an organization yet who's had to go back, thank goodness, right, in the category of urgent community needs. Obviously, the activity has to be eligible, but not less than 70% of the funding we receive has to be spent benefiting low, moderate persons. So we can fund service programs or hard construction costs. We have a limit on the public services category of $1,163,000 and change. That's actually a grandfathered number in. Most communities can only spend 15% of their total grant on public services. But the city of Wichita applied for a grandfather to continue service levels at a point when our community development block grant funding was almost $5 million. And they didn't have the 15% cap. But we do spend a big chunk of change in the public service category. The funds can only be used based on an MOU with other city departments or through an RFP for contractual services through a nonprofit organization. And they cannot be allocated to a specific provider or for an ineligible purpose. So we can't today just say, I'm going to choose to fund a particular program if they haven't gone through an RFP process. Some examples of things that we've done with CDBG are infrastructure improvement projects, sidewalks, drainage projects, parks improvements, economic development. We have a new facade improvement program to help businesses improve the exteriors of their businesses if their business is in a low-lying neighborhood and serves low-lying people. The home repair program actually is one of our heaviest funded CDBG programs. And in the home repair program, the individual who owns the home has to qualify. So it's not separated by having to be in a low-income census tract. The family that owns and occupies that home is what determines its eligibility. So if there's a low-income homeowner in need of assistance with homeowner repair, they may qualify to have some assistance in making that repair. We also fund a BCD for demolition and clearance of vacant and neglected structures, those that have been condemned and are a danger to a community. And again, that can be done outside of low-income neighborhoods under the spotlight eligible activity. We fund the city manager's Office of Community Service in the neighborhood centers, and we fund Housing First project coordinator for the homeless. And in community services, we fund domestic violence shelter services and youth crime prevention and enrichment, and the Way to Work youth employment training program. So that's what we've been funding traditionally. The home program, as I said, home ownership activities, including down payment assistance and home ownership development. Community housing development organizations, we call them CHODOs, I've heard them called Cheetos, nonprofit community development. Really we have 3 or 4 of them in our community that focus on building new or rehabilitating units for the low income. And we can provide some operational support funding for those CHODOs and some admin for us. CHODO set aside mandates that 15% of our home funds be allocated to community housing organizations that meet that category. The next one talks about how to qualify as a community housing development organization. The agency has to have legal and tax exempt status, financial management capacity, experience serving the community representation on the board. That's the one part that tends to knock a lot of nonprofit organizations out, is they don't necessarily have not just community, it's low-income community representation on their board. They can't be publicly controlled, and their purpose must be for the development of affordable housing. It's not like another nonprofit that has another purpose and say, oh, today I think I'm going to be an affordable housing developer. The emergency solutions grant activities is homeless assistance, which is obviously to be able to provide shelter and outreach for those experiencing homelessness. Homeless prevention, we can make emergency mortgage or rent payments or utility payments that can help prevent people from becoming homeless. Rapid rehousing, that's it's kind of between a shelter and permanent housing, and someone needs just maybe 6 months of assistance to get themselves out of homelessness because they have other resources. And then the homeless management information system administration. So shelter services include shelter operations, essential services, or major rehabilitation of those shelters, prevention, rent, and utilities assistance. So we come to you and say, what should we be funding? If the allocation increases or decreases. I kind of told you about what we have been funding. I'm new to the area. I was a little surprised at how narrow that we fund activities, especially in the public service realm, that we're really only funding domestic violence and youth enrichment and crime prevention. I was surprised to see not more services towards the elderly, services for other populations. But this comes from what the feedback we get from the community. So I need to hear from you if you have any feedback on what activities are the highest priority, the lowest priority. Are there any urgent needs? I hope not. We don't know, right? No natural disasters or outbreaks that we should be considering right now. At this point, really, at the end of this, what I'm seeking is a representative from the DAB to serve on the grant review committee for this next cycle. So as the timeline has shown, in approximately February, we're going to hold 3 meetings for the grant review committee. So we'll be with 13 other people who review proposals as they come in rank them and make recommendations to council. So preliminary meeting set for Wednesday the 5th, these dates could change. A public hearing on February 13th and a final meeting on February 19th. So we're talking, the commitment from somebody would be 3 meetings. Pretty kind of lengthy, but 3 meetings. Very important though, as we make these decisions on what programs to fund in the next year. That's what I have for you today.
So I think Alyssa did it this last year, and Jill's done it, and Ben has done it. So we obviously have some people missing tonight, so if there's no one jumping up and saying, I want to do this right now, what we could do is send out the meeting dates to everyone and see if anybody is willing to jump up and say, if not, then we'll have to assign some. No, I'm kidding.
Additionally, I love those of you who have served on it. Any feedback that you have about the process?
Yeah, it was really good. It was very interesting. I learned a lot about all different organizations that didn't even know existed and all the good policies and good resources that they provide. A lot of these funds are needed. The only disappointing part was we just don't have enough funds to take care of all the groups that really need it. And what you talked about, even the other groups that we had were supported on, that's kind of scary because we don't even have enough for the ones that already have been getting it. But it was very educational. I highly recommend it.
I might do it.
Okay. Well, do you want us to send it out, or do you want to say yes?
Yeah, I'll say yes.
All right, thank you, JB.
I have a nomination form.
Okay.
Yes.
See you fill it out.
Sure.
All right. So one of the things I had done last year, we put more money into rental assistance and helping people stay in their homes longer to prevent them from being homeless. And that was a change than what we've done in previous years. And that seemed to work pretty well.
Right.
We have fewer people in homelessness this year than last year.
Yes.
So,
It is definitely easier to keep people housed than to rehouse them.
Is that similar to Center Hope, or is it different than
you mean
that?
the one down in San Antonio,
With the Center Hope?
the Center Hope here?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
They
Really?
do,
I don't
they
think they're a
do.
housing thing, but they do
We
get
work
funds.
with them.
They
to
do, yes,
do
you don't
funds.
talk
You
about
do
it.
work, do you work with George and stuff?
I don't know the people personally. 'Cause I-
Do you work with them?
But I know we work with Center Hope.
Because
to
that's their
yes.
mission, is to do that.
Yes. Yes.
And then you get to it. I'm not familiar.
Really? I'm the
Oh,
board-
yeah,
I'm
they've
the-
been
I'm the-
around a long time.
I'm the board chair for about another month.
Oh.
I'll give you a tour.
Yeah, please.
It's a neat mission because 100% of the funds that they raise or take in go to the clients. The sisters, the doors have set up where all the overhead, utilities, everything is covered by an endowment. So it's the most efficient nonprofit you'll ever see.
We also do food too, don't they?
They do a little bit of food, not a lot, but just people come in, have a little food pantry there. Some counseling as far as budgeting,
Excellent.
they
Yeah,
do
I'd love to
that.
see it.
So, okay.
Thank you for
Do
volunteering.
this, yeah.
It is a little intense there for a little bit, but once you see what we're able to do with the money, it is pretty compelling.
I can give you a few statistics if that helps a little too. So in the 2018-2019 program year, we helped 179 homeowners make repairs to their homes that saved. We provided down payment assistance to 22 families from first-time home buyers. We developed and helped Chodos build 18 single-family homes that were then sold to low-income homeowners. The shelter services provided overnight shelter to 2,906 people. Crazy, huh? And the day shelter to 2,025. And that homeless assistance program provided homeless prevention to 102 families. So very great outcomes for that. The domestic violence shelter services provided service for 813 families. The youth program served 3,958 kids. That was very impressive.
The way to work.
The Way to Work program.
No, that was a new one.
Way to work.
Boys, that was boys boys.
Real men, real heroes.
Yeah,
Yeah, real heroes. That one was challenging a
They
little
were
bit.
newer.
Newer nonprofit.
But really, yeah, they impact the whole YMCA programs, all the kids can come there.
And the Housing First program housed 93 of the most challenging homeless individuals in the community. The ones that the most chronically homeless, and that is really a collaboration with the HOT team, the homeless outreach team with WPD. So it's been really, really successful. And this past year, the Way to Work program, we had 100 kids graduate successfully from the Way to Work program. Yes.
How many total homeless do they think there were if they got 93?
Right now, there's 116 people on the by name list awaiting housing resources, housing, and it's actually more about the case management and wraparound services than it is about the housing units. We're making some adjustments in our programming to make the housing available. We're having a real challenge in getting the case management and wraparound services, because when someone's been experiencing homelessness, just placing them in an apartment isn't very successful. They really need the support from all sides. Trying to coordinate that's one of our biggest challenges, but we've got some new ideas coming down the pike. I think we'll be making some huge headway in the next year.
You might have covered this, and you said the Housing First program. Where are those individuals housed?
But they're housed in private rentals, similar to a Section 8 voucher, where we pay rent assistance.
Okay.
With funds. That's also a collaboration with the city and the county, and that's actually some general fund money to be able to provide rent assistance and other services to those individuals.
And who owns those facilities that the individuals are in?
It
varies.
Okay. Yeah, there's probably 30, 35 different owners that have apartment complexes where they'll put one or two. We've learned along the way, you don't do large, concentration. It can be a bit challenging, yeah, definitely.
And then on the renters assistance program, you gave a statistic of the number of people you assisted over the past year. What was the success rate for that?
For the Housing First program?
No, for the renters assistance program.
Oh, for that, well, 102. We don't follow up necessarily behind it. We just know we got them out of that urgent,
A situation that
homeless situation.
prevented them
Doesn't
from
mean
making.
they didn't necessarily falter back.
Okay.
But yes, we got them out of their immediate crisis.
Okay. And what steps are taken to get? I mean, other than you provide renters assistance or payment assistance.
Homeless prevention.
Sure. So what all does that look like in addition to paying rent?
It could be rent, it could be utilities, it could even be a mortgage.
Okay.
But generally, it's a one-time payment.
One-time payment.
Right.
Okay.
That tries to get somebody out of the hole that they've dug themselves in and have a plan for continued assistance.
And is there anything that accompanies that to try to make that a successful program so that it is just a one-time thing?
We oftentimes will refer them to the Individual and Family Development Program, which is under the Community Service Block Grant. It's another division within the department where we work with individuals and families for financial planning, educational planning. They'll get referred to one of the 3 or caseworkers that work.
There's no requirement for them to participate in that, but they're referred to that program.
Right. Highly recommended. A lot of people do take them up on it, especially at that moment. That's the moment to ask, do you need help? We're going to help you here, but do you need help?
But that one-time help is just, is it one time a calendar year or just one time? Okay.
One time a calendar year.
I know the Center of Hope will one time a calendar year, up to 3 times, sometimes 4, in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So, and Center of Hope does have stats on following up. I can't remember what the
I'd
auditors
be interested to see that, especially if that's something that you said we put more money into.
Yes.
Correct. From previous years. It might be interesting to see what those stats look like. I know you said you don't have them, but if Center of Hope has those statistics, that might be something interesting to see, especially if you're looking for feedback. Where do we distribute this money? If that seems to be a successful program, it'd be nice to see some stats.
Those are those quick winnings too. Get out in front of it before it becomes worse.
If you think about it, if you apply for a job and you have no address, you have no chance of getting a job.
Mm-hmm.
No chance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cycle that you can't break. So if you keep somebody in their home,
Yeah.
they have an address,
Mhm.
they can get a job, pay taxes. So huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
I had a question on the providing feedback. How do you guys go about getting it from like the general public?
Well, when it gets closer, we've done the Facebook forums. We send things out through the neighborhood centers, lots of social media. But we know, I recognize a lot of people don't use social media. We do have public meetings. Depends on which part of the process and where we're seeking feedback, but we always take feedback through the WHA.gov. Feedback on anything that we're doing.
Didn't someone came last year to our meeting and asked for feedback? So I got a district advisory.
Yes, we do. That's part of our regular, that's why I said it seems like we're always at some point in this process. All right, any other questions?
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Do you want this now?
Absolutely. I'm stamping that one received.
Jill talked me into it, so it's all her fault.
No, he'd be great.
Thank you. With that, I think we're done. You have anything,
I
Brian?
just got a couple of quick things. One, we're in the presence of greatness. Trey Rios, congratulations. He was part of Class 5A, Mays South, cross country, second place finish in state. And he finished 5th overall.
Wow.
And your sister finished 3rd. So,
Wow.
congrats, a very good season. One, speaking of sports, we put the sod down on the stadium today. So there's grass on the infield and the outfield out at the new ballpark. Next week, they will announce the name of the team. It's on Wednesday, the 13th. So a lot of exciting stuff happening there.
Do you know the name?
I do not.
Yeah.
Look at that face. I don't believe that.
I don't believe it.
So sod transitions to water. Water. Last week, Michelle Water Partners announced that guaranteed maximum price the new water treatment facility is $494 million, which is $14 million less than their last estimate. So they had sent us an estimate of $508 million. This came in $14 million less. So the new water treatment facility will not cost us more than $494 million. We originally estimated $524 million. Now we've got a couple of things that we're still working on that will adjust that final price, but the cost of building the treatment plant will not exceed $494 million. So that's really good. Very happy about that. They had some really good value engineering to get to that number. Some collaboration, compromise, and work through some issues with staff, reuse of some facilities. But again, bottom line is it's less than what we originally projected. And so we submitted our WIFIA application to the EPA, which will cover $270 million of that $494 from the feds in a loan program, which means we don't have to start paying it back until 5 years after the project is completed. So it's going to take 5 years to build, and then 5 years after that, we'll start paying back that loan. It's a low interest loan, but we're taking all that into account as we start looking at rates that we're going to have to start paying to build this new treatment facility. Our goal is to keep that number as low as possible, knowing that this is a plant that's going to last us for hopefully a couple of generations at least. And so we're trying to stretch that payment out, just like a mortgage, as long as we can, so that the impact on ratepayers is as small as possible. Because we also know that in a few more years, we have to build another wastewater treatment plant down south, plant number 2. And that's going to be another $400 million. So a couple of big projects, but at this point, it's all looking very good. And idea would be we could start dirt work on the new facility next year and start to see some stuff happening. The goal of it being online ready to switch over by 2024. So, of course, weather and stuff might be quicker, might be longer, but that's the goal. We would have both plants operating for a period of time, the existing water treatment plant and the new one, to make sure that everything works right, water's clean, etc. Before we just, it's not going to be, all right, go, and just make it work. There's going to be a period of time, a commissioning, where they both will be working. So I think that's like a 6-month process. But it's all moving forward very good. So it will be at 21st and Hoover, directly east of the Sedgwick County Zoo. So if you know where Cox Machine is, and then that storage facility, it's back behind it to the big ditch.
That's right.
And so that's a very big piece of property. It's a very big plant. But that's ideally situated because our 2 water sources are coming in and converging at that point. Cheney comes right down 21st Street, and the ASR up north basically comes down Hoover, roughly. And so they kind of converge at that point, and so that's why that's ideally suited for 2 water supplies. So,
Then what do they have to do to connect to all the infrastructure from here?
so what'll happen is, right now everything will get cleaned and then sent downstream to the pumping stations at the existing water treatment facility, which is next to the tannery. And from there, then it gets distributed out through the spiderweb, through the same pipes and everything that we have now. Although we will not, I think this is right, we will not send northwest water down and then pump it back up. We'll pump it from there out. I believe that's the plan, to save a lot of unnecessary.
And all those pipes are in good shape, those don't even-
So we've been replacing pipes and water mains. In fact, tomorrow on council approval, there's a lot of water main replacements. Several years ago, back in 2016, we went through and did an asset utilization report where we took an inventory of all of our above ground and below ground infrastructure. Pipes, water mains, sewer, storm drains, everything. And to see what was the most critical. We've been replacing those. Every year we put more money into pipe. We don't have any wood pipes left. Believe it or not, that we had some wood pipes, but we don't have any of those. But we're continuing to make those improvements, identifying the leaks before we build out the entire plant. But now the plant has become a critical issue. And so that's a constant battle.
Who are they made out of before? Who are they made out of?
They were clay for a while, and now a lot of them are PVC. You might know, am I correct? So there were wood ones
Residential, yeah.
at one time. In fact, Public Works has an example of some wood pipe that they pulled out from a project that's upstairs in their offices. They're framed behind glass. So
I never had Orangeburg.
or what?
That stuff called Orangeburg. It's like a cardboard. type stuff.
Oh, really?
They used to do that residential homes.
I'm not familiar with that one. Had a great meeting with Together Wichita. They helped fund a dog park at Harrison Park out east. And we're talking to them about a dog park in District 5. We've identified a site. It's an existing park that we don't use for anything. So we think it could make sense to locate it there. And but we got to still talk to the neighbors, make sure they're all going to be comfortable with it before we go any further. But it looks like we're going to get hopefully some assistance from Together Wichita to build the dog park in District 5. And ideally that could happen next year. And then it's mentioned a couple of times, vote. Please vote tomorrow, early and often. JB said. Exciting times, a lot of action, a lot of stuff going on. We've got a big crane downtown if you haven't seen it. And I know there's at least 2 more cranes getting ready to get put in for a couple of other projects under construction. So I love cranes and orange cones, and these things are building and growing. So, and we got a lot of stuff going on in District 5. The storage facility at 13th and Mays is under construction. If you've seen that. We approved that about 8 months ago here for that. It's under construction right now. We talked about the road project, the Paul Ingles Collision Repair at 21st and Mays, where there was the old Denny's Greenhouse. That's a new body shop under construction. Just had a new storage facility over at the old Johnson's Garden Center location. It was pretty good. I need to talk to Code. That light is very bright. You seen it? The outdoor display. Anyone else has realized how bright it is?
Maybe it is pretty much.
I've been driving the district a lot these last weeks. Especially like at 4 in the morning, putting up signs.
Why would that be?
It's pretty bright. So, a lot of good activity.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like 4 a.m. So, anyway, thanks everyone. Appreciate your service.
Thank you. That will adjourn.